Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're going to be checking out the new releases from Exodus, KHEMMIS, and OBSCURA. So, 3 albums we're checking out today for November 19th new releases, and I guess if you want to start with the KHEMMIS album, because that's the only one I didn't really get the chance to check out. What's that about?
I listened to all 3 albums. KHEMMIS is what I started my day with. You know what? I'm not that well versed in KHEMMIS, I should say barely at all. I have heard the band before, I knew kind of what I was getting into. Doom metal, basically. It's a good album. I didn't hate it at all. But I was listening to it like, you know what, this is good, I'm vibing with this, it's alright. But is this something I want to listen to all week? Probably not. Is this something that I can recommend to a friend and be like, hey, you should really check out this KHEMMIS album? Probably not. But I do think it's an album that if you give more listens and really give it a chance, there is some potential there. But my kind of first impression of it is that it's just kind of that run-of-the-mill doom metal stuff. Which I hate to say about any genre, but there's a lot of genres that have pockets like that, and doom metal is definitely one of them. And yeah, it kind of just fell right in there. Is it bad? No. Is it phenomenal? No. Is it somewhere in between? Yes, it's in there somewhere. So yeah, it's good, but I didn't really think it was much to write home about. So I moved on to the next one for me, which was OBSCURA. But I'm going to let you take the floor and tell us what you thought about OBSCURA's A Valediction.
Well, I wasn't actually able to finish the entire album, but I listened to about half. And, honestly, the first track, Forsaken, just immediately kind of told me how I really felt about this album. And it's like someone just went to the guitar player, or players, I guess, because they're trading solos a lot, and said, okay, go nuts. Do anything and everything. And as soon as the solos start happening, it's just blowing my mind. Like, what the fuck is going on? And out of every track I'm hearing, wow, that's a wild solo. That's a crazy solo. Like, these guys are just going nuts. They're having a field day creatively. And, everything else sounds good, but I feel like the guitars are really shining through as, the MVP here. Mm-hmm. And it even was starting to, just throw mix-ups at me. Like, when Stars Collide had these clean vocals, I wasn't expecting that, but it sounded good. From what I heard, it's the kind of album that just has a lot of stuff going on and a lot of different things to it,
Yeah, you're right. This album, really, really has a lot. It's really diversified in its sound. There's stuff in there that sounds like melodic death metal. You got some classic death metal, tech death. There's a lot of syncopated stuff. It gives you a progressive element. There's 1 or 2 songs that sound like just black metal. There's some thrashy elements in there. It's really diversified in its sound, but it all comes together very well in a nice package. It just was quite enjoyable for me from beginning to end. Some highlight tracks, Devoured Usurper, Orbital Elements 2, which was an instrumental, which kind of reminded me a little bit at certain parts of Hangar 18, which was pretty cool. There's a few little riffs and bars here and there. And then the Neuromancer, which is, I believe, the song where I was like, this sounds like black metal for a good chunk of the song. It just really evoked that energy. But it just is a powerful album. As you said, the guitars are wailing away, the riffs are heavy, the solos are heavy, the drums are going ham, the vocals are a little bit diverse here and there, but I didn't have a lot of time to really hone in on any of these elements to really pick them out. I just know that what I heard I fucking liked.
Fair enough. So, Persona Non Grata by Exodus. What did you think?
For one, I was surprised that this is actually the longest album of the 3. It's an hour long on the dot. For a thrash album, that feels like it's long.
It is.
But does it feel like a long album? I listened to it a couple times, and I didn't feel like it was long. I didn't feel like it dragged. But like the KHEMMIS album and the doom metal stuff, thrash is another one of those genres that kind of pockets itself a lot, right? It's like, how much more can you do to thrash to reinvent the wheel or to impress people, right? It feels like every riff on the album you've heard before, the vocal styling you've heard before, these beats you've heard before, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's still fucking good music. Could I listen to this all week long and enjoy it? Hell yeah, I could. I can definitely listen to Exodus all week long and enjoy it. But do I want to do that? I don't know. I think there's a better option here. The highlight track for me, and there was really only 1 track that stood out. And again, this was off 2 listens, and they weren't really that focused, so I can't really say, this was the only good track. But The Beatings Will Continue Until Morale Improves was the only track that stood out to me Both times I listened to it, that track came on, and I was like, "Oh, this is a good one." Like, so I made a note of it. The rest of them, good, but they didn't stand out to me in any way. So,
well, I think that musically, this album is pretty strong, and I feel like they had a lot of creative liberty with the album, to a similar degree as how I felt with Torn Arteries by Carcass. However, I feel like the biggest kind of roadblock for this album is the vocals. I feel like it's the kind of album where if you can enjoy these vocals, you'll love this album.
yeah.
But I feel like that can be a challenge because they sound really just awkward and just uncomfortable to listen to. There are some points where I'm like, man, I just cannot handle these vocals, and there's some points where I'm like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the low points vocally, it kind of felt like a really bad kind of like Lordy or Guar kind of vocal style, kind of.
Yeah, sometimes vocals like this are actually par for the course when it comes to this genre. Like, there's other bands that sound like this. But I do agree, it's, I guess you could say, an acquired taste.
It kind of is.
You kind of got to get used to it.
If you do, then you're totally good, because musically this album is really good. But it's like, can you get over that hurdle? And that's kind of the only main issue I have with this album.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think they're 3 pretty solid albums, to be honest. Like, none of them were bad. They're all enjoyable in their own way. They fit their respective genres, except for Obscura. I don't know what genre they fit into specifically, because they're kind of, like I said, very diversified. But we can only review one. And that one is going to be
A Valediction by Obscura. So we're going to be listening to that album non-stop for the next week. And next week we are going to review that album and give it a rating. Anyway, guys, that's all we got for you today. Remember to like this video if you liked it. Tell us in the comments below, out of all the albums released today, ones we talked about, ones we did not talk about, what is your favorite? And stay tuned next week for our review of A Valediction. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Wild Self.
See you guys later.